Hey guys, so it's James Waka, Amy Holland, the familiar face you guys are used to seeing. My right-hand person here in Memphis, licensed realtor, works with a lot of our investors, fitting them to the right house. Say hello, Amy.
Hello.
And today we've got Greg Iverson on the video with us. So Greg and I have known each other for quite some time. He's done a lot of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans for me and my wife. A lot of our clients, of course. He is one of our preferred lenders. And Greg, just to kind of tee you up, why do we have preferred lenders? Anybody, any mortgage broker can do the first or second loan. It's that 5th, 19th one that's hard. Right?
Well, I mean, it takes an army to do it, that's for sure. But just to back up, one of I think the biggest vote of confidence we can get in our industry is not to just be working for your clients, but when you actually select us as a lender personally, that's something that we celebrate and feel great about in our office. So thank you so much. But yeah, it's, we actually flock to the investment loans. We've got competitors out there that it's, they don't like the world. They don't embrace it as much as we do because it gets infinitely more complicated when, an investor owns 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 properties. You're splitting them up between spouses, as you know, we just did, James. So, it definitely takes more on the operations side and more of a technician type mindset. As you know, and like you all, I'm an investor myself, so it's something that I've schooled myself on outside of financing, and I just love it, so that's it's a world we want to live in regardless of the climate. So,
and my wife is currently buying another investment property. Greg and his team are doing the loan. Shout out to Shannon Ross. And it's tricky. It's tricky. She's got reserves. She's got an amazing credit score. But we're at that point where it's just tricky. And if we had someone that wasn't well-versed in this world of investment, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, they would have already called it quits by now.
Well, and James, I try to run myself through the process once a year or so just to keep tabs on what it does feel like. It's similar to you. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But it just goes back to the whole relationship thing and why I think they're preferred lenders. The more often we work with you and your clients and things, we get to know how you operate and just how the investment world operates in general, and it's definitely a niche that a lender needs to carve out for themselves if that's really where they want to live.
Exactly.
But,
and the bank needs to stand behind them. The bank they work with needs to stand behind them. They can't pull out.
Well, as you know, and you followed me with a couple of company changes for sure that, you need the support of the company. And the reality is some of them, it's just not something they're interested in. So, but yeah, we're in a great spot. And, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary with Del Mar, and we've had nothing but support from the highest level, which is ultimately what we can deliver to the clients down on the bottom. So.
Well, good deal. Well, thanks for being part of our team. So, all of my investors know that watch my videos, I am not a crystal ball guy. I go to all the conferences. I was just at an IMN conference in Nashville. And when the guys start pulling out their crystal balls and telling us what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, I leave because they're always wrong. Yep. So I hate all that, but I hate the word but because it erases everything I just said. Greg, tell me what you're seeing in the market today. We all know interest rates are rising. What else are you seeing in the market? Where do you see this thing going in the next 3 months?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think every year I've been in the mortgage industry, they have projected that the following year, around November or so, everybody will do their projections. And the next year, the mortgage industry is going to be off 25%. This is the only year I can ever remember them actually being correct, that rates are going to rise. And in fact, they have risen. So to your point, I think it's just seeing the opportunity and not overthinking it quite so much. And if the math makes sense today, then go for it. As far as where rates are headed, it is guessing to an extent, but I would tend to agree that probably agree with most others that interest rates are going to stay at these levels, potentially even a little bit higher before we see them come back down. I also look at it though, and when I bought my first probably 25 properties I financed those above 6%. I think I had one at one point at 7.25%, and the math made perfect sense, and I can't help but continue to look at the 2 years during the pandemic where interest rates were at the floor as just what it was. It was a blessing. It was a unicorn, but not something that we can truly build a business around. I think what we're getting back to now with interest rates, it's pre-pandemic levels. It's probably about where we were in 2018, parts of 2019. And again, the math makes sense. And it's not an emotional knee-jerk type thing. I think investors need to just determine, first off, if they're in it for the long haul, it's not trying to time the market necessarily. It's being in the market. It's time actually in it. And that way you allow the portfolio and the cash flow and the principal pay down, the appreciation, truly let it do its work, over a 10 to 15 year horizon, So in short, I think this is as good of an opportunity to buy investment property as 2 years ago, even though interest rates are definitely higher. I think there's still great opportunity. Rents are up, appreciation is moving up, all those things that help to support it. So.
I agree fully. I'm working with more and more investors that are in the mindset of wealth preservation, asset preservation over some cash flow. So, I've got a couple $100,000. I could stick it into real estate, leverage with Delmar. I'd much rather have it in real estate than anywhere else in this crazy world. So
I'm with you. You can still touch it. It's a tangible asset. And it stacks up to anything else. That's for sure. And the ability to leverage, James, you and I talk about it all the time. That's the biggest difference, is the fact that you can, take on leverage with real estate. That's how you really multiply, your net worth over time.
And Amy, so from your side, if you would kind of fill us in, so you talk to our investors daily. Are you seeing an increase in volume of those investors ready to move right now and buy a property? What are you seeing?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's ready to buy.
Right. So your phone, I know I look over at the desk sometimes, she's got 2 phones going and an email, and it's just never been as busy. So Amy and I got to talk, and she's like, wow, I just really thought that the things would slow down with raising interest rates and this and that. And I reflected back to the last time I saw interest rates starting to tick up, and they're like, every week they're going to go up, just promising that. And I was overwhelmed with people wanting to buy homes because they're like, well, I want to get in now before they're 8%. I'm in that situation. The house that my wife is buying right now, I said, let's get it now because interest rates are going to be higher. If you had the dream client, Greg, best credit score available, reserves are not a problem, what's a rate that they can lock in today?
Probably in the high 5 range. We're seeing a lot kind of in the 5.75, 5.875 range or so. What we are looking at more than ever in the past, and this is very case by case, but looking at paying points potentially to buy down the interest rate. There are some opportunities there. Sometimes 25% down versus 20% down, which historically I'm not a fan of. I'd rather keep that 5% in my pocket. But we are seeing when we start to manipulate some of those scenarios, it makes a little bit more sense. So, but overall, probably levels of, late 2018, early 2019, probably with
Very
investment
good.
rates.
Well, as we were preparing for this call, one of the things that we were talking about is the new construction a lot of you guys have seen. So I'm going to share screen just so we can kind of talk about this opportunity. So while I'm doing that, another little tidbit, Greg's a client as well. So I love that. He's bought homes with a Turnkey Invest.
Yes.
Head Foundation Property Management as a client. So we're always honored when we have industry professional involved with our little team here.
Well, we see behind the scenes, James. So that says a lot that we chose you, because we know what goes on in the office too. So
that's right. Hey, I always tell people we're not doing anything new and inventive here. We're doing basic real estate consistently, day over day, and that's what works. So if you haven't been to turnkeyinvest.com, go there. You can read about the company and who we are. But most people just give me the properties, James. Click on the button that says view property listings, or at the top where it says buy. And that's going to open up the properties that we do have available. So our process, we do not have a waiting list. There is no bidding war allowed for our properties. I know a lot of turnkey providers have a waiting list. And when you're name is chosen, then you have the opportunity to buy one of their homes. Personally, I wouldn't buy from a company that put me on a waiting list and gave me the opportunity to buy something from them. And then the bidding war thing, I would be totally turned off with. So from our site, you cannot pay more than asking price. The houses come on as coming soon and then available. Once they are under contract, they go down to the reserved section. And once they actually close and are sold, then they go down to the bottom to the closed section. So that's how the website works. That's what it looks like. Once I have 12 sold properties on there, the last one falls off. So it's always evolving, always new properties being added. If you're looking at a property and you say, I want to know more about that property, or I want to buy this one when it becomes available, the investor watching this video needs to reach out to Amy and Ryan on my team. And how do you do that? Up at the top, there's the phone number, or you can say, contact us. You can schedule a video conference like we're doing now. You can schedule a phone call or an in-person visit to the office. But from the website, if you were to click the part that says view listing, it's going to open up a page about that specific property. At the very top, it says make an offer, but we'll look at that in a minute. We're going to give you a map, show you where it is. This house is a new construction, so it's also got the floor plan and more photos available. And then it's going to give you more information about the property, the sales price, the occupancy status, bedroom, bathroom count, square footage, down at the bottom, the cash on cash return, the target monthly rent. So if the property is occupied while it's on the site, it's going to say actual monthly rent. If it says target monthly rent, that's what we have studied and know that we're going to be able to achieve on this property 99% of the time. Your cash flow, defined as the money left over after all the bills are paid, including your debt service, and then a 5-year projected return. If you click on the button that says Diligence Vault, it's going to take you into even more information, and we can cover that in another video. But this is particular floor plan. We have under construction currently in 11 locations in Memphis. So those of you who tried to buy the first one that was released, we had 20 plus offers on this house. Don't be disheartened. We're building it more over and over and over again. This floor plan is tried and true because it has a perfect living area with an open concept, 4-bedroom and 2 full bath. So a smaller house using every square foot to its full advantage, to where you can have 4 big enough bedrooms for a family, maybe 3 bedrooms in an office. You can just go on and on about the options here. 2 full bath and a nice open family area. Look, I'm not trying anything new here. This floor plan works. We're going to stick with it. It rents really well. It appraises really well. Everybody loves this floor plan, and it's somewhat economical to build in these hard times. So go to turnkeyinvest.com. At the top of the available property page, we have a video, and it's me walking you through that house that's under construction. If you want to see some more in-depth about the exact floor plan we're building, when you go to make an offer on one of our properties, you click the button that says make an offer, and it opens up a form that you fill out, and that's how you make the offer. It's that easy. So you put in your email, the address of the property you want to purchase, your full name, go to the next step. Once that's completed, you have now made your offer. Again, you cannot offer more than sales price. So how do we choose the person that we are going to accept when we have 20 plus people offering to buy the same house? Number one, existing clients. I'm going to grow this business with like-minded investors, people who share our same core values and want to grow something big here, not just buy 1 or 2 properties and see how it goes. Secondly, someone who's using a preferred lender. If someone's using a preferred lender, the process goes smoothly. If someone's using Quicken Loans, could I pick a worse example, then I need to hire another employee just to keep up with Quicken Loans, and that does not work with the scale of economy. So economy of scale. So somebody that's going with our process. One of the questions is, do you want Foundation Property Management, my property management company, to manage this property moving forward? Well, of course, I'm going to choose somebody to buy the house is going to use me as their manager that wants the full access to everything that my team has available for you as an investor. I always say we have everything under one roof that an investor needs to succeed, no matter where they live. I've gotten a lot of investors in San Diego and Colorado and Tel Aviv, Israel, that have never been to Memphis, but we take care of acquisitions, renovations, property management, all here under one roof. And our team does a bang up job for it. The reason I can say that so confidently is we have more investors than we know what to do with, and they're all referrals from some of our best clients. Greg, on financing these new construction houses, anything you can throw in there about rate locks? That's one thing we're hearing a lot about. So when somebody says, James, do you think I should lock my rate? My answer is always, I don't have a crystal ball. I always say no, because I'm not paying for an extension if you need it. And now the reason I've had houses supposed to close next week, right? And it catches fire because somebody left a torch burning back when we put copper pipes in. Small fire, we fixed it, but it was a month late on closing. I've had houses, the water heater was bad from the manufacturer, brand new house that I built. Water heater leaks, ruined some floors. We miss our closing date. Everybody's mad at me about extensions. So my answer is never, but what kind of rate lock extensions are out there?
Well, I mean, great question. And it's really, really tough to, and well, let me just back up a little bit. More credence, I would say, to working with the preferred lender. We have learned over doing this over a number of years that you're going to have delays in getting materials. There's just things that are going to happen outside of your control, outside of my control. At the end of the day, it's our job to protect the client with that rate lock. And so we're very, very cautious. We will, when we do lock the interest rate, we will lock it, giving ourselves a little bit of a cushion beyond the estimated closing date, as much cushion as we can, quite honestly. There are some locks. So as it pertains to new construction and what we're looking at right now, James, and I know you and I have talked about it, but longer term, like up to a year, potentially rate locks right now. I'm a little hesitant on those as I read through a lot of those because they come with a higher interest rate and potentially fees on the front end that I'm just unsure that it makes sense right now. So we're still kind of fleshing out some of those. Definitely the major takeaway, they're available and they're out there for the client that really just wants to lock in and know exactly what they're dealing with today. But again, there's some more homework to do there for sure.
Well,
now,
let's just get you on camera answering this question. If a rate has to be extended, who pays for it? The seller or the buyer?
The buyer.
The buyer. So when you ask me, should I lock my rate? I'm like, I don't want to be involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to commit and I can't fulfill. Things are out of my control.
It's way out of your control.
If the buyer locks that rate, they need to know that they're responsible if we don't meet the deadline.
Well, and James, we look at it as our responsibility as the lender, to guide them the right way. Now, do we always get it right? No, but we want to be as conservative as we can because the last thing we want to do is cause our buyers to pay more in costs and things. It's tricky in a rising interest rate environment like what we're in right now, because again, hindsight is always 20/20. We should have locked, so on and so forth. But we're doing the best we can, and again, the math at the end of the day still makes sense, and it's our job to make it as efficient of a process and also as low cost of a process as possible. Now there is one thing I did want to throw out though with new construction, something that we're offering for for the new construction homes that you're working on right now for clients. We're offering to pay an appraisal. We're noticing appraisal costs and some of the costs in general right now have risen a little bit with everything else in the world. So we're actually covering the cost on those new construction homes that you're doing, covering the cost of that appraisal for the client. On average, $500 to $650 or so in savings to the buyer for financing with us. I'm not big on gimmicks and things like that. I think it's more than anything a way to reward and appreciate the loyalty both of your team, but also a lot of your clients. A lot of your clients, James and Amy, as you know, we've all worked together multiple times. So just a way of showing our appreciation. At the end of the day, I think it's our expertise probably is what really adds the value. You mentioned I'm a client of yours. I've been an investor for a long time myself. And so I think what we can offer to a lot of your clients also is just strategizing, and here's what I do. And then when rates fall again, we'll look at refinancing these properties and be diligent about being at market rent, if you need to raise your rents, things like that. Just other ways we can add value as well is what we're
That's
always
great.
looking.
I want to talk about two things and we'll wrap it up. I'm going to talk about where are these new construction properties? Because that's the first thing everybody's going to ask. Well, where are you building these?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm going to talk about it. And then secondly, we're going to talk about delayed financing because we're helping a ton of investors buy houses right off the MLS. And some of our investors want to be a stronger offer on the new construction they're buying from us. So buy in cash and then coming to Greg and his team later, getting back 75% of that money minus closing costs and repeating. In this hot of a market, when you've got this hot of a property, cash is king. So we'll talk about those two things. So let me share screen one more time, and I'm going to talk about where these properties are. So a little bit differently than having an entire neighborhood to build out of, which would be amazing. But in today's environment, you have to be creative. So we have bought some infill lots, maybe a house burned down 20 years ago, and there's just the foundation remaining. When we buy the lot, we come clear the foundation and start from big ground up. So down in Whitehaven, so the southwest quadrant of Memphis, Tennessee, if anybody has ever been to Graceland, Whitehaven is home to Graceland, Elvis's house back in the 70s. That's to the west of the airport. Airport, the reason I bring that up is that's FedEx Super Hub, where we have a ton of people renting from us. 15,000 employees employed by FedEx at our airport. To the east of the airport, going into Parkway Village and Hickory Hill, to the southeast quadrant, we have brand new homes coming up there. Moving north from Parkway Village into the Burr-Clare and University of Memphis areas, which are inside the loop, that 240 loop that goes around Memphis. Right here in the Cordova area, out in the Bartlett area, Raleigh, and even the Fraser area, you're going to see some houses as low as $147,500. Never thought I would say I was building $147,000 in 2022. That means you have to get the lot for nearly free. Moving north towards Millington and into Tipton County, Mumford and Atoka and Drummonds. So we've built a lot of houses in the Tipton County area. The local home builders in town are building 1,000 homes in the Tipton County area. I think there's room for 15 rentals. So we've proven that market. We recently finished a brand new home and sold it to an investor from Colorado. Not too long after that, a local police person moved in. So we have local law enforcement living in our houses up there. And it's just a proven model that works over and over. The scary part is I couldn't rebuild some of these houses for what I sold them for only 6 months ago. That's how quickly things are changing. Labor's getting more expensive. Materials are fluctuating. One day lumber's up 30%, the next day it's down 25%. So really being good about knowing when to buy that lumber, having the ability to buy 3 houses worth of lumber and saying we'll take it in 3 months. That's some of the things we're doing to make this happen. So where are the new construction? That's finished. Now let's talk about delayed financing. So a lot of my investors have said, look, James, I'll buy the house right now, $175,000 cash. I just need to be hooked up with a lender to go and take delayed financing. How does that work quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to have that conversation before they buy it, which is typically when you'll make that introduction for us. That way we help them to source their funds for the purchase. That's one of the biggest things, making sure we know where the money comes from the purchase. A lot of people have the misunderstanding that there's a 6-month wait period, so on and so forth. We start day one. So even before they're under contract, or I'm sorry, before they've actually closed on the property in cash, we're underwriting the borrower to get out of the, a jump start to the extent that we can. There are certain things, title report, appraisal, some of that kind of thing that we cannot get until they actually own the property. But we find that a lot of those we're able to complete it within, 30, 40 days, as opposed to, 3 to 6 months down the road. And again, like you said, James, then rinse and repeat and do it over again. So
Awesome. So
super common right now.
if somebody's watching and doesn't know, sourcing the funds, if you pulled the money out of the mattress or the under your bed out of a box, or
It makes it harder.
Found some cash, that's hard. If you
Yeah,
pull
and
it
a
out of
big
your
one, James,
retirement
is
account,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
if you pull it out of your retirement account or your savings account, it's gonna be easier, right, Greg?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just showing a good paper trail of where it comes. And a big one we encounter, which I think is a great idea, but a lot of people will use a line of credit. So they'll draw on their home equity line of credit. Technically, they're functioning as a cash buyer to you, but they did borrow that money. We just need to show that it came from their line of credit. The main thing behind it, James, is with money laundering, some of that sort of stuff. We have to adhere to those types of things, but also that gift funds are not allowed on an investment transaction. So we're showing that this money was not gifted from a third party, a parent, something like that. So that's where it comes from.
Well, any investor watching this, and when Amy asks you, do you have the ability to pay cash? That's why. So Amy's going to be asking a lot of our investors that, especially the ones that are trying to, win the deals off the MLS. We've had a lot of success buying a house right off the MLS from a young couple who took perfect care of the home, cash. Then they go refinance with you 30, 45 days later. The house was so clean, we stuck a sign in the front yard that said for rent and had a renter in there 2 days later. This is happening time and time again. And so there's many, many ways we can help you grow a portfolio that lasts, whether you're using turnkeyinvest.com or anybody else in the nation. I give, my backing to Greg and his team. So buy them in St. Louis, buy them in Indianapolis, but use Greg.
Thank you, James. Hey, we appreciate it, and Amy as well, that the teams work really well together, and we're excited to continue on.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate everything.
Yep.